Hello and welcome to Sooner Sports Pad. We're live from inside Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma. I'm Abby Williams.
And I'm Britton Ross, ready to talk all things Sooner sports.
And it may be springtime, but we've still got some big news coming from OU football about how they plan to show off for fans next month.
Plus an update on the Sooner basketball teams as March begins, and Selection Sunday is just right around the corner.
And an exclusive interview with two members of the OU wrestling squad later in the show. But first, some good news and bad news coming from Brent Venables' squad. Bad news first, of course, there's no spring game this year. But on the plus side, Team 131 is showing off in a whole new fashion with their very own Crimson Combine.
This event will have the Sooners showing off their skills in combine-style drills. But there's also things for the fans to experience. On-field fan engagement, autographs, and picture opportunities, and more.
Yeah, Britton, the downfall of the spring game isn't just unique to OU. It seems to be a trend across the NCAA as a whole. Teams like Texas, Ohio State, Nebraska, USC, and others have also canceled their spring games.
Yeah, it's the trend around college football right now because teams are being overly cautious by not letting other teams scout their players out of fear of them being picked out in the transfer portal.
But enough about football. We've talked about them for a whole semester. The countdown to Selection Sunday continues, but it looks like March sadness awaits Porter Mosier's squad instead. Saturday, OU traveled to Oxford to face Ole Miss, and I gotta know what Dayton Forsythe did at halftime. He put up a career-high 25 points, 23 of those in the second half, but it wasn't enough to get the win. Sooners lose 87-84.
And it has to start with me. If I walk in gut punched, what does that say? And that I have to walk it every day, and I truly, with every bone in my body and fiber in my body, believe we're going to win because these guys are staying together. The locker room, the bench, the culture, it's just been high. We've been gut punched.
The last two games for the Sooners have been simply heartbreaking, losing by just a point to Kentucky last week and by 3 to Ole Miss on Saturday. They now sit at 14th in the SEC with only two teams below them.
Well, they're sitting at 4-12 in conference play this season, which is pretty bad. And if they keep this up, they'll have nothing to worry about on Selection Sunday because they clearly aren't a tournament team. But over on the women's side, they took on Alabama on their senior day, and it was a close one. The game was tied at 45 at halftime, but it was Reagan Beers. While fighting through an injury, she still put up 22 points and 11 rebounds. She was rewarded with her second straight SEC Player of the Week award, and the Sooners won 91-84 on Sunday. And OU is projected to host the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament, and they know just how big of an advantage that can be.
I think it's important, especially the last couple years we've been knocking on the door, and the year before that we weren't ready for it, and so now we want it. We really want to host it. We need people to keep coming. We need more people to come. We need to show that Oklahoma is important, and that goes with the NCAA tournament on a national level. Our game is as high as it's ever been.
And now they'll play either Georgia or Arkansas in the second round of the SEC tournament on Thursday. And we'll see how far they can go in this tourney before March Madness begins.
Yeah, these girls are on a roll, but the SEC has some powerhouses for women's basketball. Last year, the Sooners fell to Indiana in the second round, but OU has a real chance to make a deep run in the tournament this year with this roster. Well, we still have plenty of other OU sports to talk about. Don't go anywhere, because one Sooner coach just got his 600th win. And over on the diamond, there is more Sooner success to come. Stick with us. Welcome back to Sooner Sports Pad. It's time to swing it on over to softball and baseball. So let's start things off with OU softball, where Patty Gasso and her girls are still steamrolling the competition. Over the weekend, the Sooners played 5 games and run-ruled all of their opponents. They played Marshall twice, Kansas twice, and Kansas City. And guess how many runs were scored between all of their opponents over the entire weekend? 3. Between 5 games, OU scored 54 runs and held their opponents to just 3. Sophomore Cassidy Pickering was responsible for 3 home runs this weekend, and head coach Patty Gasso couldn't be more proud.
She's such a really pure hitter, and like every at bat seems to mean something to her. It's not just go up and take my hat. Like, she's very calculated, and her swing is so pure, and she's seeing the ball so well. So it looks really easy for her right now.
Well, it's really unfair that OU softball is still this good after losing the best senior class in softball history. And they don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon, but that's why Patty Gasso already has a statue out in front of Love's Field.
But keep in mind, conference play starts this Friday with a 3-game series against South Carolina. It looks like OU softball's hardest games are going to be towards the end of the season, right as they're gearing up for the Women's College World Series.
Well, now over on the mound, OU baseball had a 3-game series with CSU Northridge over the weekend, and it was a clean sweep for the Sooners. Games 1 and 2 were blowouts with OU winning 9-0 and 10-2 respectively. Sunday's Game 3 was a little bit more competitive, with the Sooners trailing 2-0 in the 6th inning. They rallied to come back and took the lead in the 7th when Trey Gamble reached on a fielder's choice, allowing Dawson Willis to come home. The Sooners win 3-2, and Skip Johnson knows that wins bring fans, and the fans bring energy.
We really appreciate it. You think about that, that's really what gets us going. You want to play in front of big crowds, you want to play in moments like that, because when we're going on the road and we play at these other places like Mississippi State or Georgia or South Carolina, it's going to be packed. And the more they get used to it, the better they're going to perform.
The Sooners are the only school in the country where both the softball and baseball teams are undefeated. Now ranked 13th in the country, OU already has 2 top 10 wins early on the season.
Wow. And they're still fighting to keep their undefeated season alive. They're playing right now down at Dallas Baptist, and the score in that one, well, it's 9-0 DBU, but they'll be back in Norman this weekend for a series with Sam Houston State.
Well, let's move it on over to another Sooner squad who's cooking on the mat this time. OU women's gymnastics still hold the #1 spot in the NCAA after week 9. After taking down Auburn on Friday, 197.925 to 196.9. Highlighting the win was Elle Mueller. The freshman earned a near-perfect 9.975 career high on vault, enough to get her named co-SEC Specialist of the Week. And she wasn't even originally slated to vault in that meet.
That's crazy. Yeah, they're still undefeated and ranked #1 in the country, and you said it, for the 9th straight week. After losing in the semifinals last year, the revenge tour is still going strong, and with only 2 more meets left in the regular season.
Yeah, Michigan and Georgia are great teams to finish the regular season with. And with the SEC championships coming up after, 6 of the top 10 teams are all from the SEC. So OU's postseason might consist of a lot of familiar faces.
Well, the OU men's gymnastics squad went out west over the weekend where they faced off against Nebraska and Cal. OU totaled a season high on the floor exercise and the parallel bars. The Sooners scored 323.1 compared to Nebraska's 317.1 and Cal's 308.5 to secure the win. And this win was a benchmark for head coach Mark Williams, who now has 600 wins as the Sooners head coach. And Oklahoma is still ranked as the #1 team in the country and have a 12-1 record this season. And when we come back, Sooner Sports Pad's Brooke Griggs has an exclusive interview with 2 members of the OU wrestling squad. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to Sooner Sports Pad. I'm sure you just love hearing Britton and I yap away about Sooner sports, but now it's time to hear from the athletes themselves. Joining us tonight are 2 members of the OU wrestling team, Willie McDougall and Tate Piccolo. Willie is a junior from Niagara Falls, New York. He has an impressive 5 ranked wins this season.
And Tate Piccolo is a junior from Mustang, Oklahoma, where he was the #1 ranked recruit at 195 pounds in the 2021 class. And now he competes in the 165-pound class and has a 12-6 overall record this season. Brooke, take it away.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. We're glad to have you. My first question is a question for both of y'all.
Okay.
OU wrestling wrapped up their regular season against Arizona State. Congratulations on the win. How would you describe your team's performance overall this season?
I think through the year we've progressed, definitely. We had to get adjusted. We had a lot of guys come in from different schools. Young guys had to step up. You could definitely tell from the beginning of the season to the end, we rallied and we got strong.
That's good, that's good.
Yeah, I would have to agree. There was a lot of change going into the season and throughout the season as well, and just for our team to be able to come together cohesively and just put together such a great season just really shows a lot about our team and our coaching staff.
Great, I love the team spirit. And then, Willie, this is a question for you. You earned the 3rd spot in your weight class for the Big 12 championship coming up. Tell me about how you're preparing for that, especially after already going last year.
Well, this is my third time competing at Big 12s, so it's kind of gotten a little bit easier with, stress and everything. I think as you get older, it gets a little bit easier. So, but I mean, I know I can beat every guy in this bracket, so I'm prepared to do good things.
Hey, I love it. You got it. I believe in you. And then, Tate, this is a question for you.
Okay.
So I was watching your film recently, and I noticed you do this one move in particular that really caught my eye. We're going to play it on the TV here for everyone to see. And you're kind of just playing with them here. Please tell me what this is. Like, tell me more.
Yeah, so that would be a single leg takedown, and one big thing in wrestling is that little yellow line out there. That one's right in the middle, but in that yellow line, if they get out of bounds, there's no points scored. So that first move, I was really just trying to get them as close to inbounds as I can. But I feel like my wrestling, I really have a lot that I do, but I would definitely agree that that's one of my favorite moves, and it's really been tried and true this year, helping me get some wins. So looking forward to using it this weekend.
I love it. I can't wait to see it. And then, what is your favorite memory at OU so far? Do you have a favorite opponent?
I would say every Bedlam is definitely one of the favorite memories. Whether at McCasland or at OSU, it's just the atmosphere is different. Wrestling's not the biggest sport in the world where you're getting 70,000 to 100,000 fans, but when we can step into an atmosphere where they fill the room and it gets loud, it's really something special.
For me, I'd probably say my freshman year, we had a couple guys go down, and I had to step up and wrestle a ranked guy in my first match as a starter, and I was young. And it was actually on my birthday, and I ended up getting a big win for the team.
Those are great memories. I hope you'll have more to come. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks, Willie and Tate and Brooke. We look forward to watching you and your teammates continue to compete. But of course, the Sooner sports aren't stopping anytime soon.
We've talked a bunch of sports so far, but we have even more Sooner sports coming at you right after the break.
We're back, so let's get right into it. The Sooners find a way to do what they do best, whether it be on the diamond, the mat, the court, and even the track. So to start things off, OU Track and Field is showing off when it comes to the SEC Indoor Championships. On Friday, the very first SEC champions in program history were crowned. Jasmine Atkins jumped 6.62 meters in the long jump, and Pippi Lotta Enoch of the pentathlon, whose performance puts her at 5th in all-time NCAA history. In total, there was success all around. The women's team finished 2nd in the SEC, and the men finished 3rd.
And the OU men's tennis team hosted number 12 Texas A&M on Sunday. The Aggies took 4 of the 6 singles matches, with Oscar Lacidus and Oral Kimi being the only Sooners to win in singles. OU swept A&M in the doubles matches, but in the end, the Sooners fell short 4-3 and are now 9-3 on the season. And next up, they host Florida on Thursday.
And we've talked a bunch about the current Sooners, but Sooner Sports Pad reporter Aiden Tyler tells the story of a former Sooner who made his way back home after more than 30 years.
As a native Oklahoman, Kermit Holmes has dedicated his life to being on the hardwood, and he has a Sooner legend to thank for that.
Wayman Tisdale was my hero growing up. With him being from Tulsa and I'm from Okmulgee, he was kind of like the first guy that put everybody on.
In his 3 seasons at OU, Holmes averaged 9 points and 6 rebounds per game and loved the big ones.
Going to the Final Fours, winning big games at Kansas, just playing in that type of style, scoring 100 points a game, it was awesome. My best game was 36 points and 21 rebounds. Who wouldn't want to play in that system?
After Holmes' time at OU, he spent 10 years in the CBA, but that wasn't all the experience he gained after college.
Playing with Team USA, won a gold medal in '97 and a silver medal in '99. I still got my USA warm-up, gold medal, and all that stuff. And I framed all the jerseys, too.
And this is the Lloyd Noble Center where Kermit Holmes played and grew under the guidance of Sooners legendary men's basketball coach, Billy Tubbs. And now Kermit Holmes is here at Moore High School, giving back to the game he loves by providing guidance to the Moore Lions as an assistant coach on Greg Harden's staff.
from coaching them, mentoring them, talking about off the court things, family, how to approach your classroom every day in life. But it's a gratifying feeling being a coach, especially here at Moore.
And to Holmes, basketball has never been just a game.
Basketball saved a young kid from Okmulgee, Oklahoma, that had an opportunity to earn a scholarship and take care of his family.
Reporting from Moore High School, Aiden Tyler, Sooner Sports Pad.
Thanks, Aiden. What a great story. Okay, Britton actually brought his doctor's note from last week, so I guess he was actually sick. Still, he might be a little rusty. Don't go anywhere. Face Off is up next.
Back to Sooner Sports Pad, and it's time for Face Off. Abby and I will go head-to-head, and our audience will decide the winner. So, Abby, I'm going to let you go first. Who do you have as your team of the week?
That one's too easy, Britton. What other Sooner squad is on a 7-game winning streak in the SEC to close out their regular season? Just one answer, OU women's basketball. And this is coming right before they enter the SEC tournament. With the win over Alabama, they clinched the 5th seed and will either play Georgia or Arkansas on Thursday.
Wow. Well, I'm going with a team that still technically hasn't lost a game yet, and we're talking about team of last week. The OU baseball team, they're 11-0 right now, and after winning all 5 games against Texas Southern and CSU Northridge last week, they have their first road game of the season tonight, and we'll see how good they are when they get to SEC play, which is right around the corner.
Britton, they're down big tonight. The season's still young, and keep in mind, there was a time when Porter Mosier's squad was 13-0. But let's talk about individual athletes here. Which standout Sooner deserves to be your women's MVP this week?
Well, this one is easy. The only real answer is Reagan Beers. 22 points and 11 rebounds on senior day, and she earned her 2nd straight SEC Player of the Week award on the season. She leads the Sooners in points per game, rebounds per game, and blocks per game. And today, she was named All-SEC First Team.
Britton, you're picking the most low-hanging fruit answers. What about Isabella Emmerling, the RBI merchant? She had 7 alone in softball's win over Kansas City on Sunday. That's the most by any OU player this year, not to mention that grand slam she had in the 2nd inning. Yeah, she makes a pretty valid case for my MVP. Now let's switch it over to the men's side. There's been a lot of success for Sooner squads all around campus, but Britton, taking everyone into consideration, which guy has made his case to be your men's MVP?
Well, how about a bright spot on a dark spot? The OU men's basketball team, but Dale, Oklahoma native Dayton Forsyth scored a career-high 25 points in the Sooners' loss at Ole Miss on Saturday. 23 of his 25 points came in the second half. He was 7 of 9 from the field and made 4 3-pointers and was a perfect 7 for 7 from the free throw line.
Well, I'm actually going to take a coach this week who I think deserves it more, but OU men's gymnastics head coach Mark Williams earned his 600th win at OU on Friday when the Sooners took down number 6 Nebraska and number 10 California. Up next for Williams and the Sooners, next weekend they face William and Mary, as well as Greenville.
Well, that's a decent pick, Abby. Nowhere near as good as mine, but it's still okay. But going on right now, Sooner Sports going on right now, and with how many good teams there are, what are you keeping your eyes on this week?
Okay, it's the first time for everything, and enough with the shade now. Too much. We talked about it earlier in the show, but I'm going to go ahead and look forward to that Crimson Combine. This is looking like the new norm now that so many schools are just doing away with that spring game. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen, what's going to be involved, and if it's going to change any in years to come.
Well, I'm going to go with men's basketball senior night. The Sooners host number 15 Missouri on Wednesday, and they already lost to them by 20 points earlier this season. But these last 2 regular season games for OU are critical if they want to get into the tournament. The latest projection from ESPN has the Sooners as the very first team out of the NCAA tournament, and the fans will not be happy if they miss a tournament again.
Yeah, Britton, let's be honest. They're not making the tournament. They haven't in Porter Mosier's career here. And we've heard some pretty good picks tonight, but I think it's now time for our audience to decide a winner. If you think I was the winner, let me hear it.
You thought I won.
Yeah! That's my boy.
Me?
All right, now the real winner. Come on.
Let's go, Britton! Yeah!
Okay. Our producer Amy says Britton is the winner. I think that was kind of a cop-out. But thanks for watching Sooner Sports Pad. I'm Abby Williams.
And I'm Britton Ross. Watch Sooner Sports Pad next week, same time, same place. Good night.